Well, the sun is out in Wales, so I thought it's time we had a look at the garden. So here we go. It's not big, but I'm just thinking, and everything needs a good scrub as you can see, but I was just thinking about putting maybe a piece of wood across the walkway here, so I could look at my seedlings and plants from the window. The gate is there, which came from my old plot, the rusty plot, and I brought the coal frames, the gubbins for the coal frames. This is the type of brick that we have here because the garden is up in the air. And then down this side, there's a tiny little piece of land there, maybe for a small greenhouse, but it's not that big. I'll just go and stand in it now so you can see. See, big enough for maybe putting a cover on top. In fact, now that I'm stood here, I think it could be quite a nice space. Put a bit of plastic on top of there. Yeah, right, let me show you these steps. These are traditional Welsh miners' steps. It's a very steep rise to get to the top. Stairway to heaven. So as we go up, we'll have a look. I'm not quite sure what this is here. Like a bit of concrete. Next door to that is what looks to be the remnants of a bed. Again, little bits of concrete. Apparently the guy who had this house was a nurseryman. So this garden was full of flowers at one point. Bit of ivy all over the place. That seems to be a weed here. And then walking up the stairs to the back door. This is the warmest part of the entire garden, is this little piece here. So maybe I'll just put a shrub there and make it as a sort of a resting place for the cats. There are some plants here. There is a lot of this snow on the mountain. That's all over the place here. It's a pleasure to see it. Now there seems to be some form of a rose there. Don't know which type, but the buds are starting to come out. And then let us go over to the main part. There's a bed down on this side, which is a very thin bed, but it's in this bed that I will put my tulips and spring bulbs. Maybe that's a bit of mint. And then the large part of concrete, which is used for putting out the washing on the Siegfried line there. And then up here, which is the main bed of the garden. This is the first time I'm having a really good look, so we'll do it together. Oh, what's this one called? I can't remember what this one is called now. But there's that. There's a rose at the back that's got a few buds on as well. In the first year, I just find it's good to, obviously, to do the garden, but just leave stuff there and see what happens, see what comes up. There's a few daffodils and tulips. Obviously, I can take some of these stones out. What's that there? Look at that. Maybe that's for the old back door. And up on top of the brick wall there's some more snow on the mountain. So obviously I won't be able to feed myself from this garden, but it will do as somewhere to put a few flowers. Ah, look. Seems to be a tree there. So this is it from this side. And then back down to the house there. So like I said, not huge, but it's a nice size. This is grass, is it? No, I don't know. It could be a plant, I suppose. And then up there is the window, which the cats will sit at in order to look at what I'm doing. Nice space for a deck chair though. So we're just coming up to 1:30, and as you can see the sun is now going from this top end, but don't forget it is still winter, and in the summer we all know the sun is a bit higher, so I'm hoping in the summer this bed will be in full sunshine until about 6 o'clock. So who knows, maybe a few flowers in the bed down there, but in this bed there could be a few salads, but nothing that's sort of like, you couldn't really do, I suppose you could do runner beans. I don't know, what would you do with it? Tell me below. I will do some veg until I get the plot, but it looks to have been, look at that, nice terracotta pot. But it seems to have been just a flower garden. So there you go, that is the garden. I think I'll probably start by cleaning up this part here, so I can put those daffodils and tulips in and get them in, because time is starting to go on. So just on top of the wall here, as you can see, there's a street behind it. Just on top of the wall, some more snow on the mountain, also known as snow in summer. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually came from my cousin, because they used to live quite close. See, quite a busy street. What else do we have here? Not a lot, just more of the same. Have to be careful, that looks like it's about to fall down. There you go, I've just had to play with it and made it a bit more secure. Even on the ledge here I could put some terracotta pots with herbs. But yes, I'm pleased that we've come out today, because I hadn't really paid much attention to how big this space was. I actually thought it was quite small when I first came here. But yes, a bit of plastic on top. And that could be a little greenhouse. Well, that's it. That is the garden of my little Welsh cottage. What will it look like in 6 months? I don't know. Well, this is the view of the garden from upstairs, and you will find that the majority of Welsh cottages will all have a terraced garden because they're built on the side of the mountains. But I think we could turn this into something really beautiful, even in the next few months. So yes, I'm very interested to hear your suggestions. Tell me below. So I'm just sat here having a think. And this little bed here could be where I could sort of use as a bit of a compost bin, where the clods of the earth could be put, which will then in time turn into its own flower bed. So in this bed here, it could have some ground cover, but it would be nice to have a sort of tree, nothing too big, but just something the cats can go under, and then they can decide if they want to be in the shade or be in the full sun. But that could be a nice little cozy corner there. So the rose I'll leave that and just see what comes of it. And then in this bed, a combination of a few fast-growing vegetables, so something like lettuce, spring onions, maybe a few shallots because they'll be out by the end of June. Put something else in then for the winter. So that could be like a mini allotment until I get one myself. And then when I do get, well, I could still do the salads even when I get my own plot. It'd be quite nice to think, I want a lettuce for my tea, I'll go in the garden and pick one. We all seem very tired in the house today because of the rainstorm that we had last night. Yes, for some reason the phones went off at about 10 to 2 to tell me that the river was very high and it wasn't going to burst its banks. If I got flooded, then the entire village is gone. But they were being a bit overcautious, so I will certainly unsubscribe from that service. I don't want to be woken up. That's why I'm feeling a bit tired. I should have gone for a walk today with the walking group, but I didn't get up till 9. I was too exhausted. And then I thought, the sun is out, so let's do a bit of gardening today. So this is my gardening shelf. I've got all my books on there. This, for some reason, I've got 2 copies of this, but this was the first allotment gardening book that I ever bought, which is the Alan Titchmarsh Allotment Gardener's Handbook. And I've got a few copies of that. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to plant these bulbs today or leave it for another time. Let me have a cup of tea and then we'll have a think about it. First thing to do is fill the old kettle up. Just before I came into the kitchen, the front doorbell went and I've had some housewarming gifts. First thing is a tea caddy that's turned up, but I didn't have any name of who donated it. So thank you very much to the person who donated that. And this as well, a propagator, but this time, and I've never used these before, propagator with some lights on. So I might set that up on the kitchen windowsill. I can hardly speak, I've been so busy in the garden. So what I may do as well is, because seeds need heat in those first few days, I will buy a heated mat. So if I put that on the mat, I've got everything then. Heat, light, plants. Another thing I found when I was having a potter this morning before I went into the garden is I found this box, an amaryllis box that I bought in London at Christmas time, and look, it has already started growing and I haven't even put it into a pot yet. So I thought, while I wait for the kettle, I will do this now. And this is the compost, a big slab of compost, and what you do is you just put this into the water and watch it grow. And not too much either, just about that amount. And then we just sit back and watch it double in size. So the trick with the amaryllis bulb is that you don't bury it like we do with daffodils and tulips. We just sit it in the soil like that. Now, as you can see, there's too much water there. This is what happens when you're in a rush and you want your cup of tea. But that will go into a very warm room now, so that'll soon dry out and sort itself out. For all the years that I've done coir compost, I still get it wrong. But as long as we give it a go, that's what life is all about, isn't it? Have a go, have a try. Let's just go and have a little tinkle of the soil and see how far I get. May as well start in this corner. No point going up just to bend down. So I'm going to have to be careful, because these bricks, even though they're good, after a while they do start to disintegrate. And these two on the edge look very much on the edge. Now, I don't think this is mint on a closer inspection. I think it is just a pile of weeds. It's nice to get my hands into the soil again. Now, in Wales, a lot of the soil has remnants of coal within it. I remember back in the 70s and 80s where there was so much coal on the mountain, you could see smoke coming up from it. I don't think it'll take too long to push this garden into some form of order. A few good days, we'll soon sort it out. Now, I had a comment, somebody saying that they enjoyed the at-home stuff and don't go back to fill in the channel full of allotment stuff, because that is what the allotment was. That's what the channel was based on once. And my plan is, I'm not going to do that. When I get a plot, I'll just do a gardening video once a week with an update. So it's not going to go back to the way it was before. Ah, what's that smell? It's not mint. I can smell something. I can't pinpoint it now. I might get a bag of compost just to throw it in. Ah, chives. I have found some chives. I wonder if they're Welsh chives. That's what the smell was. There's a patch of them right here. See, this is why you don't want to go bull at a gate when you first start gardening. Take it slow, take it steady, and unearth the treasures as you go. Nice little patch of chives there. Beautiful smell. In fact, I could use chives rather than putting in some onions. Yes, this brick here I'm a bit concerned about. I don't want that to fall down, especially if I'm outside or the cats are outside. But the thing in Wales is, which you've got to get used to, a wall can look like that. But it's been there for 100 years, so it's not going to fall. My door upstairs, going into one of the rooms, is actually on the slant. But you will never find a straight Welsh miner's cottage. It's all over the place, these buildings are, but they were built by the miners, so you know, they're nice and strong. Oh, I'm pleased about that. Now, as long as I remember not to step backwards, I'll be fine here. Yes, I don't want to step back to admire my work, because that has happened. I remember being in Penge in London, and all the police were there one day by the train station, and I asked somebody what's happened, and they said the man was on the ladder cleaning his windows, and he stepped back to admire his work, but he forgot he was on the 3rd floor, and he fell off the ladder and died. So it can happen. I think this will be the type of garden where it'll be good just to come out to have a potter. Now, at some point I will leave the cats out, but I don't think it's going to happen until at least March. thyme. Okay, there's some thyme somewhere. So maybe this was his herb garden. Yeah, so there it is. Tiny bit of beautiful smell. Tiny bit of thyme. I did think the other day of not actually taking on an allotment at all this year and just enjoying the time off. But I think, to be honest, at the height of summer, I think I'll get bored, especially when the evenings are here. Alright, gotta watch because it's getting a bit thinner as I go along. Right, I'm gonna pop down the allotment stores on the weekend and get a bag of compost. Although I've got friends coming up to have a look at the place on the weekend, so I don't know how much time I will get to go to the allotment stores, but I will put it on my list. My list is getting quite long now since I've been here in Wales. I was reading the comments and a lot of people said that what I've done has inspired them. But if you're a long-time viewer, this move has been on the cards for about 2 or 3 years. Well, since the lockdowns. So it's not something that's happened really quickly. Although at the end it did happen quick. And I know a friend of mine, he's looking to move, and I've said start to clean the house out, because if you find somewhere and you aren't ready, then you're not going to go. But if you start cleaning your house out now, then if the universe says to you, we've found a place, then you're in a position to just pack up your few bits and go on to your new life. Now I've just realized this bed is not that deep, so I'm going to start planting today, and I think I will do it in groups, because you know what's going to happen. Something will grow, I will love it, and I want to get more, and I won't be able to tell what it is. So this is a daffodil called Replete. So I am putting them a bit closer together than is normally advised, but I found it makes no difference whatsoever. So I've got no idea what's coming out. I'm just putting my hand into the bag and pulling what I've got. So the first one is called Mondragon, which is a very nice one that I had last year. Just pop them in. As you can see, they're already starting to grow, so I think it's a bit of a myth that they say you have to plant your daffodils in September to November. Maybe it was just said in order to justify the head gardener's job in the big houses. And we'll just cover that with soil. And that is the first 2 varieties done. And they will look really beautiful when they're finished. I think in the side here I'm going to plant some tulips as well. This is called Prince Irene, which again is a beautiful colour which seems to change colour as the seasons go on. I've got quite a few of these. Right, just fill that up with soil now, and that's finished. At least I've started. Won't be long now, and we'll be complaining it's too hot. Right, what I'm going to do is, rather than just spooning it in, all this came out of this space, so we can go back in there. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to put any pressure on this wall. There's lots of worms here, that's a good sign. Right, at least I've got something in today, which I hadn't planned to do. To all the new people that have joined over the past few weeks, do you have a garden? And don't forget to tell me where you are in the world as well. Right, that was 2 daffodils and 1 tulip in this bed. Some momentous moment. The first cup of tea in the garden. Yes, it will certainly get me fit going up and down these steps. This is why my cousin gave up her garden. She wanted to go down on the flat, and I went to go and look at her garden the other day. She's been dead now about 10 years, 15 years. And it was a shame to see that the new owners have just ripped it out. There were 1 or 2 plants still there, so I might go and knock on their door and ask if I can have them, because they obviously aren't interested in that much garden. But yes, her original garden was a bit like that. You had to go up steps, and then it was on the flat. But you know, in the summer, I'll be able to come out, have a little sit on the ledge here. Now I could be stood in the greenhouse. Yes, because I could use quite a bit of this space, even up to here. Like, nothing solid. Maybe just a roof, a few shelves down that side. And then, when I do get a plot, if I get a plot, I can start my veggies here and then take them down there. Take them down on the bike. I would like to get one of those old butcher's baskets to put on the front of the bike. So if there are any butchers watching, and you've got an old butcher's basket, let me know. But it's nice just to come out and be in the garden within seconds. You know, I bought that device the other day for transferring your old slides. Well, I found a few of me in the garden that we had, which was quite a sizable garden. And even though my family weren't great gardeners, my father did have a row of peas. He liked peas more than he did beans. He had a row of peas and a very large fuchsia in the garden. And on this one particular picture I found, I think I've spotted some potatoes as well. And we had endless apples and pears. Oh, I think we had about 3, 4 pear trees and about 4 apples. And we used to get so much fruit off it, it became a bit of a tradition that when we harvested the apples, we'd give them out to the neighbours. And then the preceding weeks, we had loads of apple pies being given back to us because we had given them far too, like when I talk about far too many, we'd give them a big box full and there'd still be plenty of spare. And the first gardening task I was ever taught, which was by my cousin, which was how to prune a rose. So I do find it quite funny that people are so scared on how to prune a rose, because I find it quite an easy thing to do, because it was the first thing I was taught. But it's nice to be in the garden, and I'm seeing I know if you've watched me for any length of time, I've said I can't understand people who put their allotments to bed for the winter. You see them on allotment sites, they'll disappear in October and then they'll say, right, I'll see you at Easter, and then they go. And I've always said, but there's still loads of stuff to do. But this year I'm seeing the advantage of just having some time away from it, and then come back in the spring with a load of vigour. Right, I'm just going to stand here and enjoy the quiet of the garden and have a think about what I could do with it. So thanks for joining me, and I'll catch up with you next time. So from me until then, bye for now. It'll be beautiful, whatever I'll do to it. Do a little, do it often.